Hi, I'm Perry Black right here at Second Chance Youth Ranch TV, and on this program we have a special guest from the Reform Alliance and someone involved in education at the state capitol and across the state of Arkansas, Laurie Lee. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm your host, Perry Black, and on this program, we have a really special guest and a friend of mine, sort of kinda, Laurie Lee. And I'm not going to give you exactly how I know you yet, because I want the audience to get to know you as I'm getting to know you. You and I have had numerous email conversations, several telephone conversations, as the founder of Second Chance Youth Ranch and the founder of Arkansas Christian Academy. It was really the Academy that brought us together because of your relationship with Reform Alliance and school choice. But before we get there, leave the audience dangling. Tell me about you. You are an Arkansan.
I am.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Little Rock.
Okay.
I was born in Little Rock, raised in Little Rock, in Southwest Little Rock, and then moved to Fort Smith for a little bit, and then back to Little Rock.
I'm a Southwest Little Rock guy myself. After we moved here, I lived at the Methodist Children's Home for 3 years, and then we moved to Southwest Little Rock. I loved it. You grew up where in Southwest Little Rock? Because that's a big area. That's 80,000 people.
I actually went to Wakefield Village Elementary, and
So you lived in Wakefield?
I did. I lived in Wakefield Village, and I went by there the other day and saw my old house and took a picture of it and sent it to my mother, and I said, "Do you know what this is?" She goes, "No idea."
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So you lived in Wakefield, and then where'd you go to high school?
I actually went to high school at Central. I went to Fort Smith for a little bit, for about 5 or 6 years, and then I moved back mid-junior year, and I graduated from Little Rock Central High.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and ask you. People do math when we do this. When did you graduate Central High School?
1985.
And I am also a Little Rock Central graduate, 1970. I'm a Fighting Tiger. I played on the football team. And I actually played, so don't even mess with me. I played with Walt Coleman, who's an NFL official, recently retired. We had the #1 defense in the state back in the day. So I am a Tiger, tried and true. And I didn't realize till today that you're a Central High School graduate.
Central High School, Tiger Pride, I'm there.
And you graduated in '85. Then what happened after you graduated? I immediately made a decision in 10th grade. If I don't get a football scholarship, because I'm not very big, I am not going to pay for my own college. I'll join the Army. What did you do out of high school?
Well, I actually had a little trip before I joined the Navy, but I went to college for a semester at UALR. Then
was it UALR back then?
It was.
Was it already?
Back then.
Back in the
back in the day.
Before that, it was LRU.
I even drove a car.
Little Rock University.
And then I moved for a stint to Abilene, Texas, and was a flight attendant for American Eagle. And then I came back home to get married, and that didn't work out. So on my way from that conversation, I stopped.
What didn't work out? The marriage didn't work, or
yeah,
you didn't get married at all?
I didn't get married at all. I didn't get married at all, and drove home, and there used to be a recruiting station on the corner of Geyer Springs and University.
There was a shooting there just some years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, kind of a deal that was in the national news.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Geyer Springs First Baptist Church.
Pastor Paul back then?
Pastor Paul,
yeah.
Yes. And drove that way, saw the recruiting station, and pulled in and joined the United States Navy that afternoon.
All right. I always have a story. Anybody that knows me knows I have a story. I was going to join the Marines from childhood because they had cool uniforms with swords.
True.
And then I had uncles that retired from the Air Force. So I decided I was going to join the Army in the 10th grade after watching the movie with John Wayne, The Green Berets. But I had two friends in high school at Central that taught me into joining the Navy. So we all three went down and took our test. I'm not going to tell you your names on television, but they did not score high enough to get their schools. I did. There must be a God in heaven. And I did everything but get sworn in. The night before I was to be sworn in, my brother, who was already in the Army for a year and a half, said, Perry, don't do 4, don't do it, join the Army and do 3. And I said, I've already taken all the tests. I'm not going to take any more tests. I'm being sworn in the morning. So I went the next morning to get sworn in. They said, no, we've moved your leaving date up and we'll swear you in then. I walked out of the Navy recruiter into the Army recruiter and joined for 2 years. So that's how I became an Army veteran. Isn't that weird?
It is a weird story.
Your story's not that weird?
No,
just
I just
joined the
walked
Navy.
in. I just walked in. It was only recruiter that was there at the time. The rest of them were at lunch or something.
So the Navy guy
the
was
Navy
there?
guy, the Navy guy was there and I joined the
So
Navy.
did you spend 4 years in the Navy?
I actually did a 4x4, and I actually was the 5th woman in the history of the United States Navy to complete explosive ordnance disposal diver training.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Scuba.
Yeah.
And did ordnance. That's kind of like, isn't that kind of the job of the Seabees? Or
no, they're more construction.
Are they? Okay.
I worked with
and
the
you're in
mammal.
more of the deconstruction side.
Yeah, that's it. I worked with the Navy mammal program. I trained whales and dolphins and sea lions for the military.
And I know people are watching this show going, wait a minute, I've watched this show before. This is Second Chance Youth Ranch. Why are we talking about the military and the Army? Because I want people to understand life's journey is very unique for every one of us. And somehow this journey, Central High School graduates, alumni, we are now connected through each of our ministries in this education sector. So somewhere along the line, God's done something in your life.
Oh, well, he's done a lot.
He's done a bunch of stuff, huh? Well, we want to know more.
He's still doing.
We want to know more about that. We've got about 30 seconds in this segment. So somehow you did a 4x4 in the Navy and relocated back after the Navy here. We got 25 seconds.
Yeah.
How did you end up back in Little Rock?
Well, quick story. I got married, had 2 precious daughters who I love, who are grown today. And that marriage did not work out, and we were in California, so I brought my kids back to my home state of Arkansas.
And that was what year?
1994, 5.
Yeah, 25, 27 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a brief break. Be back with Laurie Lee and find out how Reform Alliance, School Choice, Second Chance Ranch, and Arkansas Christian Academy all got connected somehow, and how you can make a connection too. We'll be right back.
A mission field around you is filled with young hearts needing a forever family. And at Second Chance Youth Ranch, our team is committed to providing healthy, stable, loving homes and families to hurting children in the Arkansas foster care system and those up for adoption. Please contact us if you feel the tug at your heart to help foster or adopt, and find out the steps you could take to help fulfill a child's lifelong dream. Maybe you can't foster or adopt, but you could help. The need for thousands of children in the system is staggering. But with the help of faithful partners and business alliances, we are meeting those needs right now. Would you help us make a difference? Every gift, regardless of size, impacts a child's life directly and helps provide for a home in the gap right now. Visit the Second Chance Youth Ranch website at 2CYR.org to read more, watch the stories, and to make a contribution for a hurting child's care. Monthly partners are needed, so please contact us right away. And as you partner with this ministry, you are partnering with the Heavenly Father that has promised to be Father to the fatherless. God bless you for helping Second Chance Youth Ranch.
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Our special guest, Laurie Lee, works in the educational system, kind of roundabout. So Laurie, tell me, you are involved with Reform Alliance. Now, I know that because I've talked to you many times, but I'm not really sure what that is.
So the Reform Alliance is a C3 that I am on the board for. I'm
What
chairman.
is a C3?
It is a nonprofit that works to ensure education is transformed in the state of Arkansas.
So it's a 501c3
Yes.
tax deductible organization recognized by the IRS for donors. And your guys, what is your mission statement, if you will? your goal?
Our goal is to ensure that every single student in the state of Arkansas has access to an education system that fits their needs. Because we believe education should be based on students and not on systems or models or buildings or adults.
Oh gosh, I don't want to bring this up, but right now we're in an environment where schools around our nation, not so much so in Arkansas,
True.
but around our nation have shut down because there are unions who seem, I'm trying to be sweet, who seem to be putting their profession and their issues, boy, this is going to open up some email, I hope, ahead of the needs of the children, and we're doing it perhaps under the guise of health.
So I don't know how strong you want me to be, but I have some extremely personal opinions about the teachers union and what I call the education cabal.
Yeah.
In my view and in the work that I do, they are more concerned with their power, their money, and their political agenda, which not in fitting with most of their members than they are about the teachers.
I want to interrupt you there because that's what I wanted you to say, and I didn't know if you were going to get there. My daughter is a public school teacher in Texarkana, Texas, and I hear her side as an individual educator. I have school teachers in the church, wonderful school teachers all over the state, and one who has spoken in states all over the nation. I've met wonderful public school educators. So I want to distinguish, clarify what you just said for our viewers. There is a difference in some cases of those in the union leadership and the ones out here in the classrooms.
Oh, absolutely.
Endeavoring to educate children.
So the teachers union is a national organization whose sole purpose is to push a very uber leftist political agenda.
Yeah.
The membership of the teachers union is filled with people like in our state, in the state of Arkansas, dedicated classroom teachers who want our children to learn and move forward and be able to take care of their families and be contributing citizens to their communities upon graduation. Unfortunately, they have to give their dues, and most of the time, because of the forcefulness of the superintendents, they have to placate to the agenda. And so we get phone calls and letters and stuff from teachers literally on a daily basis, hundreds, maybe thousands of teachers that say, I don't agree with this, but I feel tied and my job is tied to this. And so I'm fearful of speaking out because I've still got to, earn money.
Yeah.
And so
it's my profession. Yeah.
It's really a sad dynamic. There is another organization that teachers can join that is a non-union professional organization here in the state of Arkansas. It's nationally called American Association of American Educators, and they have different chapters in different states. They're not in every state, but we do have one here in the
More
state of
conservative approach.
I don't know that. Yes, but they don't do politics outside of what is laser focused on teachers and students. As you probably well know, the NEA on the life issue is horrendous. I mean, they actually stand for and help pass legislation that would be up to partial birth abortion.
How did you get involved in the educational thing?
So that's a great question. I was a mom. I was a single mom with two little girls. My oldest daughter did a great job in public education, but my youngest daughter has my personality and some of my challenges. My family would call it ADOST, attention deficit oh shiny thing, which means we have the attention span of a gnat.
Yeah.
So her being able to be successful in a traditional classroom setting was not only frustrating for her, frustrating for the teacher, frustrating for me as her parent, but also took away from other children in the classroom. And so, being a single mom at that time, back in the day, I was earning probably about $12, $13 an hour. And I was not able to afford tutors or therapies or private education. So I literally went to war. And so there's another backstory. I was contacted by an organization that was had challenges with some literature that was available to kids. So I just went and thought, if I don't do it, who will? I know I come across very demure and extremely bashful, but my military experience being an EOD diver really played into my ability to not worry about, blowing things up, if you will.
Yeah, if you're dealing with explosives,
Yeah.
you've kind of got over the fear factor of people.
Yeah, the whole superintendent thing.
So
didn't really
there
intimidating
are
much.
tremendous advances in education and opportunities in education, but like so many areas of life, including church, it seems like the higher you go, the more political that you encounter. And as Christians, we're pretty conservative, laid back. We're willing to conform. We go along to get along. Sometimes we get taken advantage of, and there are those who God has placed in positions of influence to help rattle the cages and say, okay, enough's enough. Let's get our priorities straight. It really is about children, and that's why Second Chance Ranch exists, is because it's for children. That's why God led me to start a private school for the children, not in competition with public schools, but to give Christian conservative parents an alternative if they choose to take it. And the organization that you work with and organizations that you work with have helped us make educational opportunities here at Arkansas Christian Academy affordable for some families. And we're going to talk more about that after this brief break. We'll be right back.
What school choice would mean to Arkansas is that we would allow our parents and students to be at the table to make decisions that uses state resources the best, that produces, at the end of it, productive citizens, and grows Arkansas economically.
It's in the best interest of our family, and we think that it'd be important if we had input on where the funds were allocated to, since we are the main ones who could find the problems, therefore we'd be the main ones to solve the problems.
As a military member, I'm downrange, I'm deployed, I'm dodging bullets and stuff like that, and IEDs. But I'm more worried about my son's education.
The state doesn't know my children, and they can't relate as to what's best for them. Therefore, it should be up to me to make that decision.
My job as a mom is to make sure that my children receive a good education and that they're going to succeed in life. You have these few years to get that basic knowledge in these children, and then they're going to take off and they're going to go in what direction they're going to go.
There are thousands of Arkansas parents who are begging for options for their kids.
Some children need something different. Some children need a smaller classroom. Some people need the option of a private school.
I wanted my grandbabies to have an education that they deserved.
I want my son to be able to do simple things like everybody, a normal person does, like drive a car. You know, I want my son to be able to get his first job, you know. Like I said, Christian's smart as a whip, but he needs a little extra help.
He fights tooth and nail for every advancement that he gets. And he's a hard worker. And he just has a harder time getting there.
We all know the hardships and the financial barriers. Being able to have that opportunity would allow us to produce two beneficial children in Arkansas, and I think that it would change the state. The state would know that it can be done, and it is being done, even with the funds not being allocated to us. We're making sacrifices to make sure that our children receive the education that we know that they deserve.
School choice should not be a threat to traditional public school. The argument of school choice is not about pitting public schools, private schools, public charter schools against each other. What school choice is meant for is to empower parents to find educational options that fit for their kids.
Because he does everything he can to learn. He tries harder than anyone else, and he still doesn't get it.
The public school system does work for many children, but for those children that have specific needs and challenges, shouldn't there be an option for a parent to place them in an environment that better suits their needs?
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Laurie Lee, our guest, who works with Reform Alliance, and in so doing, you're probably at the Capitol quite a bit.
Yes, well,
Right.
not so much now because of the COVID, but yes, I've got my
Working with
finger on the
legislators.
pulse, and yes,
So tell me, Laurie, are you a Christian believer?
I am.
And you attend a church somewhere in Central Arkansas?
I do.
And the name of that church?
Rock Creek.
Do they, if they're watching, would they claim you?
Probably. Mark Evans would claim me, I hope.
Pastor Mark's a great guy doing a great work over there. And if you're in that area, you need to check out that church. But you're pretty, you know, again, as a military veteran, an explosive expert, if you will, underwater, you've kind of you've overcome the fear of people. And as such, you become a very strong advocate for school choice, quality education in public school, giving every child an equal opportunity, and you'll fight for that. I know this personally because you and I have talked, and with attorneys, we've talked about issues we've had to work through as a private school and some head knocking that I've had to do on behalf of foster children. And that's why I know you, is because through our relationship and you working with the Succeed Scholarship and legislators, what is going on right now in our state that's going to open up more opportunities for foster children, perhaps having the option of a private school education?
So thanks for asking that. There's a bill right now before the legislature. It's HB 1371, and it is the Arkansas Opportunity Scholarship and Grant Program. This program actually has two programs within it, one for private school and one for public school. The way it would directly affect and benefit foster families is that you would be able to apply for and receive a $7,000 a year per student scholarship that you can use for private education, for tutoring, for therapies, for summer enrichment. There's some money in there for transportation. But the most important part of this is educationally is that every child in the United States should have access to all that the United States has to offer educationally. I mean, for goodness sakes, we're in 2021 now. We can pipe in Harvard to a classroom and educate these children. But if you go down to Deshay County, or if you go over to the Delta, or, you know, down south, or, you know, in some parts of Springdale, or all over this state, you know, you're going to find pockets of very rural communities where students struggle. And so I told this to a legislator yesterday. I said, even the very best, my children, when my daughters were in elementary school, went to arguably the best elementary school in the state. It was called Vandergriff Elementary in Fayetteville. And top notch, A-rated, amazing teachers, amazing community, engaged parents. But you know what? Because she was round and the system was square, she didn't fit there.
Yeah.
Now, as a person that was a low incomer, I didn't have the money to take her and put her somewhere else. And so here we've committed, we've once again accentuated this gap in the haves and the have-nots by saying, okay, if you have money, or let's be honest, in a state like Arkansas, if you have influence and connections, you can get almost anything done, right?
That's true everywhere.
But if you're poor or lower income and you're just, you know, the average Joe Schmo out there going to work every day, and your kid struggles in public school, you're just out of luck. You're just relegated to that. And it's not because you maybe have a problem with public school from a faith perspective.
But my kid's not.
But my kid can't do this.
Yeah.
And so where do you go? You can't. And so we are relegating our most vulnerable populations to an education system that's not able to, and quite frankly, we only do this to teachers. It's the only profession in the United States that we insist serves such a broad audience. You know, we've got doctors that deal with toenails, but we can't have teachers that have expertise. They have to have this general population. I mean, we did away with general practitioners when you and I were kids, right? You know, you go there first, but then they're like, oh, well, you need a kidney specialist, or oh, you need this. And so why do we take this different view of education, which arguably sets the entire trajectory for a child's life forever, and say, oh, because you're poor, or because you live in this neighborhood, this is all you get.
But this new bill,
This new bill.
is it where is it? Is it out of committee?
It's not. It is in the House Education Committee. The physical impact study just came out yesterday, so it will probably hit the committee next week, which would be the second Tuesday in March.
And in a free market system, I know this bothers people, but when you're out here in the trenches like you and I am, dealing with this need of the struggling children with struggling families who don't have the finances to have a choice, there is enough money. We're in a free market system. The school system is in essence a monopoly.
Yes.
And they monopolize the money. And children that come to private school, the money stays at the public school.
The great thing about this bill is it's private donations. It's a tax credit, so it is pre-government money. And so it's a $10 million program, $4 million goes to the private school scholarships, but $6 million goes to public school grants. And we still have superintendents and the teachers union out there fighting it because all they see is a dollar sign assigned to each child's head.
And in this community here, we're building schools as fast as we can because the community is growing so fast. And so as business people, they're looking at those dollars, and it's easy to look at the dollars with a real pure heart and still not recognize there are kids like yours and our foster children all over the state, that if they could have some funding, they could have the same opportunities that others who can make those choices because of their financial situation.
Absolutely. So, this is not an indictment on public education. This is a thing saying, you know, there are children who, for no onus on anyone, are not able to be successful in a traditional public school setting. Yeah. If you allow that child out of that classroom, they thrive, the classroom thrives, the teacher's happier, the family's happier, the community's happier. The only thing holding these kids in these positions are the teachers' union, not our teachers, there's a distinct difference, and the superintendent cabal.
So as a viewer and a supporter of Second Chance Youth Ranch, we want you to understand how important supporting our schools, our private schools, our home schools, and just to cut to the chase, it ought to be the choice of the parent or guardian and not some bureaucrat.
Exactly.
So we're asking you to pray for us right here at Second Chance Youth Ranch and for school choice, not just in our state, but around the United States, giving every child an opportunity so that no child will be left behind. We pray this program has really fired you up, got you focused, and that you will get engaged and involved. And if you need more information, contact us here at Second Chance Youth Ranch TV or contact Laurie Lee at Reform Alliance. Information will be somewhere on the screen throughout this program. God bless you. We look forward to seeing you again right here next time at Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. God bless.